So good morning once again. And today we are moving to lesson six, which is arrays. We will be talking about arrays, how to initiate arrays, how to declare array. We also talk about multiple arrays. Talk about multiple arrays. We will discuss arrays in loops. So we'll do like an enhanced for loop using array. And we will talk about two-dimensional arrays for the specific lesson. We'll round up this class, this lesson with some basic Java programming using arrays. And say, uh, please let me know you're seeing my screen perfectly. Can you confirm that for me? No gray shades, nothing is blocking the screen. Oh, thank you. So that's what we have for this specific lesson. It's very interesting topic that we need to pay attention to. We go to the lesson. We can see the lecture notes, so you can read ahead, ask questions in class, and follow along in class as well. However, before we move to arrays, I would also like to talk about the last topic we discussed before the spring break, and that was the loops. When we're talking about the loops, why do we need the loops? Just to summarize, lesson five. Just to summarize lesson five. So we had lesson five for the spring break. And there we were talking about loops, why we need loops and the different types of loops. We also discussed the three requirements for any loops. The three requirements for any loops are our control variable, of course, our Boolean expression, and the modifier. Updating our control variable, modifying our control variable. And we talked about this the three types of loops, the while loop, the do while loop, and the for loop. And we also talk about the different position we have these requirements within these loops. And we talk about the pre-test loops and the post. The while loop is the pre, that is the condition is checked before we execute the body of the loop. While the do while loop is the post. At least the body of the loop is executed once before the condition is checked. So I just want to give a brief summary so we can differentiate the different types of loops that we have. What we discussed in lesson five, because we need this information for lesson six. Don't when I was reading what we'll go through for lesson six, I mentioned we will be talking about enhanced loops using arrays, and it is very important to understand how the loops work itself before we can incorporate that with other concepts um, in object-oriented programming language. So for this specific lesson, don't forget, we still have our Zybox assignments and we have that due for the 3rd of April. So I changed the due date. So that will be due on the 3rd of April. Please don't wait until the last minute. Don't wait until the last minute to start your Zybox assignment. And I will also emphasize your Zylabs. Zylabs are very, very important. Your Zylabs takes about 35% of your total grade. So they're extremely important, as well as the other parts, the other assignments for this specific course. So participation activities, your challenge activity, and your lab activity. You don't have to wait until we get to the end of this lesson before you start. As we introduce this concept, please start your assignments. They're time consuming, I'll be honest. They're very long, and because I did it on my own, and I can imagine how long it took me to complete it. So please, they're time consuming, and I will advise you start on time and don't wait until the last minute to do this. And we also have the check-in. So I'm just going through the specific requirements I'm expecting you to turn in with this specific lesson. So you'll have the check-in on the 6th of April, and that's to check that all your grades are working. No, all your grades are absolutely correct. Your Zybox and your Canvas is synchronizing well, and you'll have your grades in Canvas. And also, I always give this opportunity for your end of lesson quiz to be towards the exam, but you can always take the opportunity to do it at the end of the lesson because you can actually do this multiple times. So you have unlimited attempts for this lesson quiz. Um, any question? Thumbs up if there's no question. And thank you. And I think yesterday I actually made this announcement, which is very, very important. Please, I will want we don't have the check-in until the 6th of April. So please check, review your grades on Canvas. Please review your grades on Canvas. We are halfway gone. The semester is really flying. So we are halfway gone. And I want to be sure that we'll have the accurate grades on our Canvas and we are actually on the same page with this course. So I want you to please take few minutes of your time to review your grades on Canvas and let me know, please. Let me know if you have any concerns, any discrepancies, or any missing grades at all. If you actually send me a message via inbox for any specific need, and I have not reviewed or respond to that message, please let me know. I have a lot of messages and probably I missed it somewhere on the Canvas inbox. So please get back to me, let me know, hey, I have sent you the specific message on this day and I'm still waiting for your response. So I can go through that and say, oh, I think I missed that, or maybe I've actually resolved the specific issues you raised. So let me know. That being said, I think we can go to the topic of today, and we will be talking about arrays for this specific case. So I would like to start with this. Have anyone ever worked with array in this class or outside the class in other programming language or in another class entirely? Uh, Anybody willing to share? Give. So it's actually yes or no. Have anyone ever worked with it? So if you've worked with it, what did you learn? Um, um, can you just simply give us a description of how array works in the like? So that's if you have actually worked with arrays before this class. Anyone? Any opinion? I did arrays in C++. Isn't it a list basically? Yeah. Thank you very much, Bernard. Yeah, exactly. That's the list. And what is the list doing? It's helping to save, to store data in memory. It's helping to to store large amounts of information. That's what arrays does. Arrays help us to store large amounts of information. So thank you very much. That's exactly. It's the same process uh, we have in Java. So uh, let's say we already talked about helping us store array. How how is it storing this list values, so many values, large information? So we will see that. How do we declare? How do we use it? What are the different terminologies? What are the different symbols that are very important when we're declaring or initializing our arrays? So we will talk about that in the specific class before the end of the day. And arrays, another important thing, arrays is just like our objects. And within the object, don't forget, we have methods. It's an object, and within this object, we can use what? We can call a method. We can use our method. We can use the property of the array class. And very, very important information as well is that an array, it gives some kind of order, it gives some kind of order collection. They're always in order from sending the smallest to the biggest values. So it always arrays always, they are always in orders of the same one or more value, but it have to be the same data type. Don't forget. It has to be, so you can say 24 and the next um value will be 2.5. No, they are not the same data type. So we can have integers and double within an array. No, it has to be the same data type. Very, very important. This is a very, very important concept uh we need to understand. So an array is an order list of values. Order list of values. They have to be of the same data type. They have to be of the same data type. Trust me. You can have double floats and integer together in just one array. No. So they have to be the same data type. They have to be of the same domain. It's the same data type domain. So an array is a Java class that contains method, properties. It's just like we have our scanner class. It's just the same way we have the scanner class. It's an object. It's a class. Well, we need to, before we can use the class, we call what? We have to use an object. We have to declare an object. We have to create an object, right? So it's just the way we have with the scanner class, the string class. That's the same thing when we talk about arrays. So they're the specific Java class. However, they're pre-written Java class available to us. So we don't have to, we don't have to call it. We don't have to access it. It is already embedded in most of the programming environments that we have, like our IntelliJ, our AWS, whatever programming environments that we use. NetBeans, it's already embedded in most of this environment. You don't have to call them. You don't have to call that specific class to use it. Any question? Sounds like if there's no question, and we can it's a list thinking. So why do we need an array? We've been talking about it. Why do we need an array? So let me access. We are not going to write program for this specific class. We will start writing our code on Thursday. However, I just want to show you. Alright. So I have here. Array. Just want to say, can I say, for instance, integer, can I declare this and say integer equals to 23, comma, 24, comma, 25, 26, 27, 28. Can I do this for my declaration? Yes or no? Please, I need your opinion. What do you think? Can I do this? Can I declare this in my program? Can I just declare my variables like this? No, thank you very much. I cannot because the integer data type can only do what? It can only, it can only store one value in memory. So it can only store one value for this variable name age because this is an integer. This is an integer. And in order to accommodate this kind of list, in order to be able to save these collections of variables or collections of values, I need to ask, I need to declare an array because an integer cannot store more than one value in memory at once. So an integer only works with one single variable, just int age and a single value. However, if I have to declare my values more than one values, then I need to use what? An array. So if you do this, you're gonna see an error message. You can see my IntelliJ already highlighted the other values from 24 onto 28. You can see the line highlighted in red line. It's already showing there is an error with this line of code. So please take note of this kind of details in your exams. So we're going to check this, and you don't have to don't need any code. You don't even need a compiler to know, well, this is not going to work because an integer can only save a single variable, a single value for a variable. While for array, we have lists that's more than one values. We call it collections of values. And we will see the different terminologies we use when we're talking about arrays. Any question on this? Sounds like there's no question in you literally understand. You literally understand this. So, thanks. Oh, thank you. So what are the different symbols uh that we have in arrays? So what are the different symbols? So the first symbols that we have in array is always our what? Our open and close brackets. What does this mean? Why do we use this? This means we are declaring an array, and this bracket allows us to reference a specific elements value. So we will talk about terminologies in few minutes. So this bracket allows us to do what? To reference a specific value in an array. So we call that specific value an element. So a specific element of an array. It helps us to declare our array, and also we use this this bracket, open and close bracket, to do us, to reference. We are referencing. We want you to work on the specific elements within this array. We also have our curly braces, the open and close curly braces, when we're talking about declaring our arrays. And what does the opening curly braces does? We'll see that when we're writing our code. So usually to define the elements that we have, we said the curly braces is majorly used for indentation. majorly used for um, a, a block of code. So it helps us to do what? To define the elements, variables within our arrays. So if you have more than 2 lines of collections of values, so maybe we are writing 1 to 100, for instance, that will not take just single line. So we need our curly braces that shows the beginning and the end of the array's elements. We also use the comma. What do we use the comma for? Just like the example I showed on our programming environment a few minutes ago. Well, this is to separate. We're separating the elements within our arrays. So these are the very basic symbols that we will see in our arrays going forward. So when we talk about, we just talk about symbols, and it's also important we talk about the different terminologies. Don't forget, I have used elements. I have talked about elements, and what are elements? Elements are just values, the individual values that we have. Um, so these are like 79. That's represent the values that we are stored in our arrays. And we also have what we call the index. The index. And this is just the position. Don't forget. And the way the computer understands index, it starts from 0. No, it starts from 0. However, for human, we start from 1 to 10, for instance. But our computer start our index. That's the location of the elements within the arrays. So the location, the specific location that we have this element. So it's always n minus 1 because our index starts from 0. So when we say the size of our array is 10, for instance, we're saying the size of this array is 10. So it's showing 10 values. However, the index starts from 0. So n will always be 10 minus 1. So it's from index 0 until index 9. Can we differentiate between index and the elements now? Like elements are the specific values that we have in our arrays, while the index is the position of these elements. However, the computer index starts from 0. So that's why we always have our index to be the n, which is the size of the array itself, minus 1. So the size of this array is 10, and that's 10 minus 1. That gives us 9. However, we also have a specific method within the array that is the length. You know, that method is checking the length of our array. And that specific method does not index from 0, it index from 1. So it does the calculation from the entire number of the values that we have, because this is saying the values that we have, all the elements that we have in the array, and not the position of this element. So when we're talking about the position of the element, we're starting from index 0. But when we're talking about the size, the length of the array, that's we're talking about the entire, from one, the entire value, from value 1 until the last value in our array. Any questions or clarifications? Any question? Thumbs up if there's no question, and we can do this. Thank you. So when we talk about array, today's class will just be, we're introducing the concept of array. So we're not writing it code. I want you guys to really understand this concept before we jump into writing code. So when we talk about arrays, like I said, from the previous example, we have the name of the array was calls. Don't forget, I emphasize that arrays have to be what? They have to be of the same data type. 79, 84, 94. They're of the same data type. Integer. You cannot have 9.40 or 9.20 within integer elements. No. So, and I talked about the index. So here I'm saying I want to go to index 2. Don't forget, index 2 is what? 94, because the computer starts its index from 0. So we have index 2 as 94. That is the position of this value in the array list. So, any question on this? So this is just a simple example of an array element. And we can say the same, we're declaring. But I want us to go into the syntax. The syntax. The syntax first before we go to an example. Okay, so the value held in array are called array elements. I have discussed that. They have to be of the same data type. Very important. The element type can be primitive data type. You know, so we're talking about integer, floats, double, but they have each other element within a specific array element. Array list have to be of the same data type. However, we can also use an object reference when we're talking about a string data type, which is not a primitive data type. Array itself is an object that must be treated. We already talked about that. And this is just talking about the different positions that we have in this list of arrays. So how do we declare an array? How do we declare an array? Very, very important. How do we declare an array? Don't forget our data type, the array data type. And I told you, the open and close bracket, which does what? It helps us to declare. Once the computer see the compiler is open and close bracket, the compiler understand that, oh, I am working with arrays here, not just an integer data type. Then we declare what? The variable name. It's the name of the array. Yeah. But don't forget, this open and close bracket is very, very important because that's what tells the computer. It tells the compiler, hey, this is an array data type, and not just an integer primitive data type. And what do we do? New equals to new, which is very, very important. And of course, the data type of the array. And the size, this is the size, in bracket, the size. We're declaring the size here, the size of the data type, not the index of the data type, the size. This is a 10 element array. Don't forget our terminator, which is very, very important. It is important that we declare the size of the array. And we're saying, so we come with our color braces afterwards and write the elements within that specific array. So I'm saying this is telling us this array is holding 10, is holding what? 10 values. It's holding 10 values for variable score. Any question? Any question? Thumbs up if there's no question. And we'll go through some other examples of declaring an array. So don't forget, we can always declare array for all data types. It doesn't have to be integer. It could be float, it could be string, it could be double. And here is the float. And we have the bracket immediately after the data type, telling the compiler, this is an array. This is the array name, just like we have the variable name, prices. And what equals to what? We're saying new floats, which is the data type of the array. And this is the size, the size of our array, 500 elements. So the array element here is 500. The same thing that we have for Boolean. Boolean, which is, Boolean is always what? Yes or no? True or false? And we're saying class, which is the name. That's the array name here. And of course, flag equals to new, don't forget. This is keyword. You cannot name a variable with this. Boolean and the size of our array. Boolean is always the array data type. So we also have the same thing for character data type. We say the data type of the array. Don't forget, very important symbol here is our open and close brackets. I was saying the name, the name of the array, that's the variable name. What are we naming our array? Is called and equals to what? New. Don't forget, the data type has to be the data type of the array, has to be the same thing with the data type of the elements. And we're saying 1007, that's the array size. The amount, the expected value. How many expected value? Expected elements within this array. Any question? So I want us this is you can go through this. It's still you're declaring a double here, and you're declaring, and we have allocated what it's a 50. This is a size 50, so elements within this array. I don't want us to write any code here for today, and I want to stop here. Yeah, this extremely short class. I want us to stop here for today, and on Thursday we will go into writing sample codes to see how array works and how we are using these different keywords and as well as terminologies that we have introduced into this class. Any question?
Oh, yeah, I sort of got a question.
Yeah.
Um, like how you were saying, like let's say for grades, new double, and you have the 50 in the brackets, and you said that's supposed to be like the index, right?
No, that is not
No?
the index. That is the size, the expected number of values within this array, not the
Okay.
index. So
Okay.
here I'm saying the expected value will be 50. So within this array, I have 50 values. This is a double, so I'm saying 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5 until 50 in total.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
the index starts from index 0. So the index for this specific array is starting from index 0 to 49. So that is the position, not the size. That is the position of the different values that we have in the array. And we have used index. If you can remember in our string data type, we have used index that we are saying pick the position. We're using the substring. So we're saying from position 9 and position 10 to print it. And we will see that when we start writing our code, the difference between the index and the size. So here in our declaration, we are talking about the size of the array and not the index.
Okay.
Thank you, Vante. Any other question? Please, you can use the chat, unmute yourself if you have any other question. Okay. If no further question, I think we can end today's class and I will see you guys on Thursday. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.